is going on, everybody? My name is Tech, and for 15 years I was the #1 seller of pre-owned men's clothing on eBay. But today we are in Arizona and it is 30 degrees, and I think there's like a 40% chance of snow tonight. And I've never seen snow before in my life. I'm 41 years old, never seen snow. When we were heading up the street to get food, we saw frost. And that was like the closest I'll ever get to snow so far, unless it snows tonight. So it is a bit cold when it's windy. It's a little more cold, but overall, it's very nice. What I cannot do is forget how to get back to the Airbnb, which is back there, because my phone has no signal, so like I can't even map it out. So I cannot forget to go back to the Airbnb. Otherwise, I'm gonna be in Arizona in the desert forever. I'm out this way because I went to Las Vegas for the week. And there was like an eBay convention, and a couple of people asked me to speak, and I was very honored, and I went to a very good cause, Blind Center of Nevada, where they have a pretty large eBay business where they work with blind folks, and they like disassemble like computer stuff and things like that, and they run a very nice business. So I went out there to Las Vegas for the week. We are in Arizona now. And this is like the closest like establishment of civilization to the Grand Canyon. We're gonna go to the Grand Canyon tomorrow, and I'll pop up a couple seconds of B-roll of the Grand Canyon. Hopefully it's nice. But as I've been out here, I've been lucky enough to meet up with a couple of people. One of them started in a group in 2019, and he started doing $30,000 back then. And last year he just closed $1 million. So super proud of him. He's come a very long way. And he's kind of changed business models a couple of times, but he's found something that worked. He's kind of changed his outlook on everything, and has been able to really grow a really, really great business. Then I was able to meet up with somebody else. They have probably the biggest reselling business out of anybody that I know. I think they do close to $50 million or over $50 million a year. And I hung out with them for 2 days, and kind of gave me a lot to think about whenever I talk to people like that, because it's very rare that I ever get the opportunity to talk to someone like in the reselling space that has like a bigger business than I do. So any chance that I do get, I do try to ask as many questions as I possibly can. And coming away from that conversation like really reinforces a lot of things that I've been thinking about, a lot of things that I talk about here, because they are in agreement with a lot of the stuff that, the philosophies are kind of like the forecasting that I see in the market. So I think like if somebody of that size of business is also on board, I think that's a pretty good sign that we're heading in the right direction. And the advice that I give to all of you fine folks is the correct advice. So I'm kind of pleased with that I think that we're on the right track here on our mission to try to help as many people as possible. Kind of what I wanted to talk about today is that like all of these mountains back here, I'm from Florida. Florida has no mountains. We're absolutely 100% completely flat. And like these mountains right here, some of them down there have like snow on top of them, and all the hills and all that kind of stuff. Totally foreign to me. Like I've never seen any of that before. This desert, very foreign. I've never seen any of that before. I've only seen mountains like a handful of times in my life, because Florida, like I said, is very flat. I think when you live in Florida compared to some place like this, when you live in Florida, your perception and kind of like your eyesight, your field of vision is at any given time like just like 100 feet, because like you can't see past the trees, because the trees are all 20 or 30 feet high. So like you can never kind of see like past this tree right here, because there'll be a whole line of trees. So like when you live in Florida, like this is your panorama, like this is what you got. But when you live places that have some kind of elevation and you can see mountains like this, for me it's very confusing, and it's hard for me to kind of comprehend or understand like exactly how far away this is. And like in my head, I could tell you right now, like I think like I can walk there by the end of the video. But like really that mountain is like 20 or 30 miles away, maybe 40 miles away. I have no idea. But like as a Floridian, I think it's so close. As a Floridian, I don't understand how tall it is. And I think that's because of the perception where our field of vision is always a couple hundred feet. Where when you come out here, like there's no telling, like that's 10 miles away, maybe 20, I don't know. In our hotel room, there's a big mountain outside of Las Vegas, and I put it onto Google Maps and it said the mountain is 42 miles away. For me, I thought I could walk to that thing like by lunchtime, but the mountain ended up being 40 something miles away and we were able to see it from Las Vegas. So like this here, in my head, even though I know I'm a fool, in my head, I think I can walk there like in a couple of hours, but like in reality, that might be like a couple days walk away. So I say that to say, we all have a perception of like what we can do. And that perception is based on our environment. And you can either stay in that environment forever, or you can go to a different environment that's going to change your perception. If we are always in this certain situation where we're getting these certain results and we think that there's a ceiling, or we think that we can't do any better than this, or we think that, or we think this, if you put yourself into a different environment, it can open your eyes to things greater than what you thought would ever be possible. The guy that I was talking to, tens of millions of dollars a year in sales. Everyone watches my videos and they see Florida as the land of milk and honey, profitable inventory raining from the sky, so on and so forth. And they think as soon as you cross the Georgia state line and enter Florida, they give you like a can of orange juice and a Carhartt jacket and some CC Filson that has 100% sell-through. It's not true. What you guys don't see is the hours and hours and hours of labor and time that it takes to actually go get the stuff. Whereas if I lived here, I would drive an hour and 40 minutes and I would source in Las Vegas and I would go there a couple times a week or a few times a month, and I would utilize all of the advantages that this place has, like very low cost of living. Store stuff for next to free. I'm sure the labor here is rock bottom. And places like this, even though they are on the middle of nowhere, you can utilize the half-day drive, the 2-hour drive, go to somewhere that has very good inventory, bring it back here, and then still build a beautiful business. Does it take work? Yeah. Does it take time? Yeah. But like everywhere has advantages and disadvantages. So I say that to say, we all think that we have these limitations because of our perception of the environment that we live in. But the biggest seller that I know, tens of millions of dollars, like half of $100 million in sales, this guy lives in the middle of nowhere, sources exclusively online, has no stop signs, no street lights in his entire city, and he does $50 million a year. And I asked him and I said, hey, I talk with a lot of people and they say, you know what? There's not a lot of opportunity where I am, not a lot of stores, not a lot of this, not a lot of that. What kind of advice can I help them with? He looked at me and he said, do they have the internet? I said, yeah. And he just smiled because he sources exclusively online. And in 2025, if you could develop some sort of expertise or make some sort of relationship or contact some sort of person that has the product, whether it's a distributor, wholesale, so on and so forth, the world is totally connected at this day and age where you don't necessarily need to put boots on the ground to find the items. Maybe you got to put fingers on the keys to find the items. So if there is a will, there is a way. For me coming out here, this is a different perspective, a different perception of what I'm used to, and it helps me think outside of my box. And I heard a metaphor a long time ago about boiling water. And if you put a potato in boiling water, it turns the potato soft. You put an egg in boiling water, it turns the egg hard. It's the same environment, but our individual characteristics and our decisions are going to dictate how we choose to react to that environment. So you put the potato in there, it has an opposite reaction, where if you put the egg in there, where the egg is going to get hard and the potato is going to soften up. So I think just kind of challenge yourself to think outside your own box, to break down your own walls, to not just see what you have for what it is. Try to see past that, through that, over that, and try to be able to solve some problems that you do have, because all of us at the end of the day are problem solvers, and that's how we make our money. And we go out and we find these cool things, and the problem that we're solving is convenience for buyers to buy them online, pay us the premium for finding them, refurbishing them, taking the photos, shipping them out, accurately describing them, rescuing them from the landfill. And that's our job. That's where we make the premium. So for the folks that can continue to think outside of the box, improvise, implement, invent things, because there is no standard operating procedure for a lot of this. There is no certifications for a lot of this. You know, most companies, most industries have like a handbook. We don't have a handbook. We're writing the handbook by ourselves. And a lot of the times when we're figuring things out, we're figuring things out the old-fashioned way. And that is by doing. I think just look at your environment and see how you are letting that limit your beliefs. Because like I said, in Florida, I can only see 100 feet. So that's the entire world that I know. Whereas when I come out here, I can see tens and tens of miles. And you just see how big, how great the opportunity is, because now you think that you can get there in one day. Like Bill Gates said, you know, there's an old saying, is that people overestimate what they can do in a day and they underestimate what they can do in a lifetime. So continue to stay persistent, continue to stay after it, continue to stay getting better and better, continue to be doing more, learning more, throwing up more listings, doing more good work, and everything else will take care of itself. All of this is out there for all of us, everybody. Figure out the best way that you could do it. You don't necessarily need a thrift store. If you have online, you have keyboard, and you have fingers, you know, what's stopping the rest of us from going out there and getting $50 million worth of product? What do you say? You think we can make it there by lunchtime? I'm not so sure, but if we get after it every single day, we'll be one step closer. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So thank you everybody for joining us. As always, be great. Thank you.